Good afternoon, everybody. Today we're going to discuss something very fascinating we find in the Holy Zohar in Parshat Toldot, Kuf Lamed Zayin. Over there it says, asks a very good question. First of all, it says something about Itschak Avinu, our forefather Itschak, our patriarch. It says about Itschak that he prayed to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that his wife should give birth because she was barren, Rivka. So the question is, why did he pray? And we find with Abraham Avinu, they did not pray, even though his wife Sarah was also barren. But Abraham Avinu never prayed that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should give him a child from Sarah. But Itschak Avinu did pray. So the question is, why? Why did Itschak pray and Abraham no? So it says, the Zohar Kadosh answers, the reason is because Itschak Avinu knew by Ruach HaKodesh, by special wisdom, that he was destined to give birth to Yaakov, and he's going to bring forth the 12 tribes of Israel to the world, and therefore he was very anxious to have this done, to accomplish this great feat. So therefore he was praying, even though Abraham Avinu did not pray for that. So he was praying in order to get Yaakov and the 12 tribes. So if that was his whole goal, that was his whole intention over here. So asks Zohar Kadosh, very good question. If that's so, that Yitzchak Avinu was so bent, he was so intent on having Yaakov and the 12 tribes, but we find in the Chumash, right, we find in the Torah that it says that he loved Esav, Yitzchak Avinu, right? So it implies that he loved Esav more than Yaakov. So if that's the case, right, there's several questions that arise from that. How is it that he loved Esav more than Yaakov? But the whole point of his prayer to have children was to have Yaakov and the 12 tribes. So then how is it that he wound up loving Esav? Two questions over there. One is, first of all, how is it that you love Esav more than the son that you were expecting, the one that you were praying for? So answers Zohar Kadosh something amazing, right? We've been asking this question for many years. Every time we read the Chumash, we always ask this question. How is it that he loved Esav? What's there to love there? He was a wicked man. He was a sinner. He was a heretic, a murderer. All kinds of sins he did. Very wicked man. How did he love him? So answers the Zohar Kadosh something very deep regarding this. It says Zohar Kadosh, the reason why he loved Esav was because he was the same type as Yitzchak. What does that mean, same type? That the Chazal teach us that Yitzchak, right, it says in Zohar Kadosh over there, that Yitzchak was din. His quality was the quality of din, of judgment. The Zohar says it was harsh judgment as well. What does that mean? That the Jewish people have this element also of harsh judgment, that we need to have this part in our lives where judgment is administered, and sometimes it has to be done harshly. So Yitzchak Avinu had this quality of harsh judgment. But his harsh judgment was being used for the sake of Kedusha, for the sake of holiness, for the sake of keeping the Jewish people pure and away from sin. So we need to have the element of harsh judgment there in order to cleanse, to purge the Jewish people from sin. So this is something very, very great. Esav, on the other hand, also had this quality of judgment, harsh judgment as well. Where did he get this from? He got this from Yitzchak, but he had it from the bad side. This was like the refuse, right, of Yitzchak Avinu, that his harsh judgment was regarding the Kedusha, regarding the holiness. But the harsh judgment of Esav is in the Klipa, is in the Tumah, is in the impurity. What does that mean? On this earth, he uses this harsh judgment for impure purposes, for his lust to kill and murder and rob and pillage and all these kinds of things, right? To be a criminal, basically. That's the idea. So harsh judgment from Esav is from the bad side, from the side of Tumah, from the side of Klipa. But nevertheless, since they had the same character, the same quality of harsh judgment, one for the good and one for the bad, nevertheless, says Zohar Kadosh, a big chidush over here, a big novel idea, that this is the reason why Yitzchak loved Esav more than Yaakov, because he had the same quality as him. Same type of person, similar personality. Not exactly the same as we said, but nevertheless, there is some similarity there, some common ground, common denominator that they had. This is the reason why he loved Esav more than Yaakov. But now there's another question that arises from there as well. We're going to see on the next page, right? Kuf Lamed Chet, Zohar Kadosh deals with this question. Okay, so if that's the case though, but Yitzchak Avinu, fine, they had the same qualities as Esav, but he should have known Yitzchak Avinu. Esav was a Rasha, he was a wicked man. Well, he didn't know that he was a wicked man, he didn't know that he was a sinner. So why is that so surprising? Okay, the Chazal teaches us that Esav knew how to trick him. He knew how to do all kinds of tricks, pull all kinds of maneuvers to make him think that he's righteous. Okay, that may work sometimes in some cases, but the question is like this: ask Zohar Kadosh, how did it work with Itschak? Itschak was Baal Ruach HaKodesh. He had divine inspiration. He was a prophet. How could you fool somebody like that into thinking that you're righteous? If a person has prophecy, he has Ruach HaKodesh, he should know that you're not righteous. He should know everything about you. This is the question that the Zohar Kadosh asks. Very good question, right? So the answer, the Zohar Kadosh answers a very powerful answer, very deep answer. The truth is, right, that Yitzchak Avinu had Ruach HaKodesh, he had divine inspiration, and therefore he should have known that Esav was a Rasha. But one thing was left out over here, right? One ingredient was not included. Kadosh Baruch Hu can sometimes block a person from knowing certain things. Just because a person has divine inspiration, has prophecy, has Ruach HaKodesh, doesn't mean that he knows everything, because Kadosh Baruch Hu may not want him to know everything in the world. So therefore, there may be things that he doesn't know. So it says in Zohar Kadosh that Kadosh Baruch Hu did not want Yitzchak to know that Esav was a Rasha. And this is the reason why he blocked it from him, In other words, all the information he had Mesa Ruach HaKodesh, he had the divine inspiration about many, many things. When it comes to the character of Esav, Kadosh Baruch Hu blocked it. Like sometimes you do a block, you block somebody, that's it. This was blocked. Esav was blocked from the Ruach HaKodesh of Yitzchak Avinu. So the question is, why? Why was he blocked? What was the reason why Kadosh Baruch Hu blocked this information from Yitzchak, that Esav was Rasha? So answers the commentators over there. The reason is something very interesting, right? Because it had to be, according to the secrets, right, the deeper understanding of this whole narrative, it had to be that Yaakov Avinu, when he got the bracha, when he got the blessing from his father Yitzchak, towards the end of his life, he had to get it through mirma, through cunning, through trickery. He had to get it in that way. There was a reason why it had to be a form of trickery and not just some straight, honest, Mr. Honest Joe. It wasn't supposed to be like that. It was supposed to be trickery. So this is the reason why Yitzchak Avinu was not able to know, was not allowed to know that Esav was a Rasha. Because if he would have known that he's a Rasha, he never would have blessed Esav. But the whole point was that Yaakov was supposed to get the blessings through acts of trickery. And this was the proper way to do it. Why is that? Because Esav was the symbol of the Yetzer Hara, the Satan in this world. Right? And just like the Satan, what he does is he tricks people into sinning. He's very cunning and very guile. And Esav is his servant in this world. He's his agent in this world. He's the army of Satan is Esav. So what we see is that that Esav, right, he works with cunning and guile. And this is how the snake came. Right? The first symbol of the Yetzer Hara was a snake that came to Adam Arishon and his wife Chava, and he tricked them into eating the forbidden fruit. So just like the Yetzer Hara works with guile, with cunning, so Yaakov had to also work against Esav with this same type of trickery, right? What does that mean? That what they say, the Chazal, that with the crafty, you have to be also tricky with them. You can't be honest with them because they try to trick you. So if they try to trick you, the Yetzer Hara tries to trick you, so you also have to try to trick them as well. You have to work against them with the same type of trickery, same kind of cunning and guile. So what happened was that Yaakov Avinu, our forefather Yaakov, had to use guile and trickery against Esav, who was a symbol of the Yetzer Hara, of the agent of the Yetzer Hara in this world, the evil inclination. This is why it had to be that he got the blessings through acts of guile and trickery. It had to be that way. There's something very, very deep there, this concept. But anyway, Chazak Baruch, and have a great day. All the best.